Hey yo, welcome back to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronald Two Legs, and I am joined today by a cast of AIW characters. Today, right now, one of the guys with the microphone, the Duke.
Yeah, live at DW3.
Duke W3.
I'm about to watch the Royal Rumble 2024.
Yeah, it's a little. It's such a palatial estate in here. It's a little echoey. I'm getting
The
a little
ceiling's
echo.
real high, so you're getting that reverberation probably.
Yeah. Try and take some of this out here. All right, so one of the topics we were going to talk about is special guests, AIW special guests that have came through. And that's kind of why we handed the mic to you first, Duke. You're one of the guys who kind of handles a lot of,
Introduce me, dude.
Oh, we got all
You're
kinds
not holding
of
the
people.
microphone.
Yeah, as always, joined by AIW's John Thorne.
Yeah, we only have two microphones for the podcast setup because the other ones were stolen when my car was stolen. So we haven't replaced them.
When's the last time you guys did a live microphone necessary podcast?
When we did it at the third place.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah. How that was a I
That
mean
was
that was
tax day podcast because that was my
No,
last day. Yeah,
was it?
That's why we were out. I was celebrating.
Yeah. So that was not even last year though. I think it was the year before.
Oh yeah, it wasn't last year.
Yeah. So, but as Mr. Two Legs was getting ready to say, we decided a good topic since we're here at the DW3 establishment. No cheesy potato wedges available on the menu though.
Come on, I
unfortunately.
got pizza, I got tenders, I got JoJo's,
You
chips.
got Pizza Hut
What do you-
pizza, dude.
What's wrong with Pizza Hut pizza?
Awful.
What do you want me to get? Little Caesars?
That's better than Pizza Hut.
Oh, you're high. You're high right now.
Crazy bread, dude.
No drugs. No drugs allowed in DW3. What are you doing?
No, Pizza Hut is awful. You can quote me on that.
Oh.
We were talking about.
Sorry, we got distracted by a very angry Ahmed Johnson eliminating himself and running out of the Rumble.
Yes. Well, speaking of which, that's a good segue.
Yes.
We decided to. It's been a while. I don't think we've done something like this, since Biggins was on the podcast. But talking about special guests that have come through AIW or we've been around. Ahmed Johnson was kind of one.
He was supposed to be one.
Well, he was signing autographs at the Hartville Flea Market, but did not get anywhere near the ring.
No, but he was on the posters, wasn't he? Was it?
Of course, he was on the posters.
Yeah. But we were saved. We were saved that day. That was the same day, wasn't it? By the great Savio Vega, wasn't it? The
Different
same day?
days.
Different days? Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. We did have two shows there.
That day that you're talking about was with Duke the Dumpster Drosy and Savio Vega.
That's right.
And I feel like maybe somebody else was there that day, but I can't remember.
I thought Ahmed was there.
Ahmed was supposed to be there.
Oh, okay.
And
Maybe that was it.
He no-showed, and they brought us back. But I guess we can go into that one. You
I don't have a lot.
You tangled with Savio
I
that
did.
day.
I did tangle with Savio, but I didn't set it up. I don't know. I know you guys talked to him more than I did, and you convinced him to do it. So then, as we were putting everything together in the back, he came back, and I think he was excited about doing it, but I don't think he was excited about learning anything about who we were or what our names were, what the company name was. He was like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. So you guys do your thing and I'll come out. And he laid it all out and we're like, all right, cool. And I think Chase, you had to prompt him with the name of the company before he went down the ramp or went down the walkway. And once he got in there, he was cool. He beat up Eric, and then he beat up another guy too. Somebody did I forget it. Oh, first guy I beat up was the guy from the flea market. He wanted
the
he
guy who
wanted to
runs
get
it.
in on it.
Yeah.
And was all excited about getting beat up. So I beat him up, and then Savio made the save because that guy was signing Savio's checks.
Shout out to Hastel Toys.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's legendary in the toy space.
Well, he wanted to become legendary in the wrestling space. He was all fired up about it.
There was recently a video of him with his shirt off getting chopped by Matt Cardona floating around social media about a week or two ago.
That is probably the least
And he was also
surprising
with
thing I've
Savio
heard.
Vega. He was also with Savio Vega there.
Hey, Savio Vega tried to hook up with us 3 or 4 times after we booked him, so Savio cracked the code to get booked by that guy again, I guess. But Savio was super cool. We did a little promo after he beat up Eric, I did a little promo with him, and gave me that thrust kick that he's so known for, stupid Savio, and everybody loved it. And everybody cheered, and he said, "What did he say? Support these guys," because he didn't know who we were.
Yeah, Chase. We are joined by Chase Oliver as well. You had to tell him the name of the promotion, right?
Yeah, he comes to up the ramp, and then he pulls off Dustin or Thorne's headset, and he just starts putting over the company, which was the funniest thing to me. And he's just like, "Yeah, we're here at the Hartville and support these guys." And he leans over and he's like, "What's the name of the promotion?" And Thorne's like, "AIW," and he goes, "Oh yeah, support AIW." Incredible shit.
See, that's what I mean. He was excited about doing it. He wasn't excited about knowing anything about what he was doing.
Yeah.
But no, he was good. That was kind of impromptu. That just kind of happened, got pulled together. So it was fun. Everybody liked it. It was cool. It's always cool to be in there with a quote unquote legend.
So I don't want to leave him out. We are also joined by Derek Dillinger is here in the room as well. If you'd like to say hi, Derek.
Hello, guys.
I want to leave you
holding the microphone for me. It's really nice. I appreciate it.
Okay, you're done.
I didn't want to leave him just sitting over there. I didn't want to leave him out. So, so out of all the guests we've had, who would you have to say is your all-time favorite that you've worked with? I mean, it's a long list of guys.
Terry Funk notwithstanding, because that's the answer for everything, and so I've said it a million times.
Yeah.
God, I don't know, because the Ted DiBiase one was cool because he got physical, and he went from I don't want to do anything to, well, if I'm feeling like it, I'll take this bump, and then sure enough, he fucking did it, and that was cool. But I think doing the promo with Ricky Steamboat and getting him to break while I was doing it, like getting him to like legit start laughing, I think that was probably the coolest thing. And plus, you're getting chopped by him. I mean, the only negative was he couldn't do arm drags, but getting chopped by Ricky Steamboat is pretty high on the list of stuff.
So would DiBiase be kind of your answer for somebody who you'd say like maybe a name you heard that you thought, oh, maybe this guy maybe won't do a lot, and then they turned out to really work out and do a bunch for?
The thing about it is that like the Steamboat thing just kind of happened day of, and credit to Thorne because that was. I had just broken up with my girlfriend at the time, and so I was like really sad and emo and everything.
Just paying people in dreams,
being totally fucking ridiculous, and so he
got a girlfriend. How about Ricky Steamboat?
Yeah, he set it up. He goes. All right, we're gonna you and Steamboat are gonna do something, and then later on it came out is because you're being a sad fuck, so that's why I set this up.
Are you sad? Let me introduce you to Ricky the Dragon.
Yeah, and so that was the cool part. But the DiBiase thing was cooler because I actually got to set the whole thing up. Like I made sure I wore a suit that day when I wrestled. I made sure I brought $100 bill because that was his gimmick. I made sure I brought one so I could fuck with him. So I had all this stuff planned that I wanted to do, and I was able to do all of it. So I think and then also him being physical.
You got to give a little credit to Fonzie though on that day. Fonzie was really buttering him up, Daddy.
Yeah, Fonzie, because we were talking to him. First of all, super cool guy, DiBiase, telling all kinds of stories about him and the Junkyard Dog that were best friends. I didn't know that.
He was his best
man at his wedding. Yeah, and then he was talking about back in the day when the show where he had to turn on Dog, and he went out and he had like 4 flat tires. Or the guy that was driving him had 4 flat tires because they knew that he was driving them, and they were so mad at him for turning on JYD. But so he's telling these stories and everything else, and then I think you went up to him and asked him if he wanted to do something, and he was kind of like, maybe. And then Fonzie like totally worked on him and told him that we were good people and we weren't gonna make him look stupid or whatever or anything. And so then he's all about it, and then I'm telling him my idea, and I'm like, well, let's do this, and then you put me in the $1 million dream. Like, I'll give you the $100 for you to get out of the ring. You give me the $1 million dream, put the $100 in my mouth, and all that stuff. And then he's like, all right. He goes, yeah, that's cool. He goes, well, throw these punches and turn around, and when I duck, I'll hook you. And he goes, I'll hook you. And then he's like, if I feel like it, maybe I'll go down with it. I'll take a Russian leg sweep bump with it or something. And I'm like, hey man, whatever you want to do is fine with me. And so we get out there and he's got me in the thing and I'm fighting. He goes, all right, let's go. And he just goes back. And I was just like, this is fucking sweet as shit. and so then he takes the $100 bill out and stuffs it in my mouth and then goes to leave and then turns around and he's like, nah, I'm not, that's a waste, and takes it out of my mouth and leaves with it. So it was cool. Derek has something he'd like to add.
My favorite part of this whole story is that he actually did steal your $100 bill and you never got it back. That's my favorite part of the whole story.
Yes, I did. I got it back.
No. You kept it.
Okay, well, I got a $100 bill back, so maybe it wasn't the same one, but I did get it back. But yeah, that was cool. Just,
You know what else is cool is when you broke up with your girlfriend and I replaced her with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
well, that one was cool because I was like, when we're backstage, I mean, it's fucking Ricky Steamboat, and so I'm like,
fuck, I lost my girlfriend, but this is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
all right, I told the story once to give you credit. Why don't you take the dead horse and throw it in the garbage so I can get on with the story? I tried to give you credit and you ruined it. But anyway, so I'm talking to him and he goes, he's going to go out there and cut it. Because it was right when Ric Flair got sick and was in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, I'm going to cut a promo about Ric Flair and blah, blah, blah. And then I'll mention WrestleMania 3 and that'll be your cue. And that's when you come out. And so I was like, do you care what I say? Mm-hmm. He said, no, you can say whatever you want. Because I had this in the back of my head about what I was going to say and how I was going to word it and everything. And he's like, no, it's cool. Say whatever you want. So we get out there and I'm going, I'm ripping on the crowd and everything else. And then Steamboat starts in on me. And he jumped ahead to the end of it and he wasn't going to let me say the line that I had planned. But I was like, fuck it, I'm saying it anyway. So I made sure to get it out. And it was something about, because he was saying, everybody comes out here and tries to make a name off Ricky Steamboat and everything else. And I said, no, Ricky, I said, you're great. I said, I love everything about you, everything you've done. I go, you've done so many things I've never done. And I was like, including lose to the Honky Tonk Man. And he bent over in the ring and just came up and had a big smile on his face. And Steve Guy said, yeah, he was totally cracking up. And I was just like, yes. And then, of course, when you get to fucking bump and feed and take chops from Ricky Steamboat with dress shoes on and not fall down either, that was a pretty cool moment too.
Expensive dress shoes.
Oh, of course. Come on, who are we talking about?
That's right.
But yeah, that was a cool one too.
Is there anybody? What's the short list look like of people you want to bring in, or is there anybody you've been like championing to Thorne to bring in for a while? Anybody you've had on like your radar that you really want him to bring in that he hasn't yet?
I don't know if there's if I'd be able to do anything with him, but I've been on Thorne for a few years now to bring in One Man Gang.
One Man, yeah, I was going to say that's
because One Man Gang was one of my all-time favorites, and I know he's still alive and he doesn't move very well, but
I tried like sometime last year or early last year maybe, and they were just like, no. Like we'll let you know if he ever wants to do something.
Yeah, I know. He hasn't. I know.
I don't think he flies. I think he drives everywhere.
Yeah,
so.
he did. I know he did Chikara a few years ago, and I don't know if he's done anything. He might have done a convention or two since.
He does conventions all the time.
Does he?
He doesn't do he hasn't worked in I don't know how long, but
he's him, and I know. And this isn't really anybody on a list per se, but I know it's somebody we tried who I think would be a good get, and we actually just talked about a little while ago, is Hacksaw. I think Hacksaw would be a good get.
Yeah, if we've tried a couple times, it just never works out. I just kind of remembered a kind of a funny story. Do you remember that with Scott Hall, we had it all set up?
Oh, I was going to tell the story. I know exactly what you're going to say. Yeah. So we got it all set up with Scott Hall, where we're going to do the he's going to cut the promo, and it was myself, Eric, Mikey, Twan, and Parker were a group.
Party Parker.
And we're going to go out there and interrupt him, and then Scott Hall and I will say a couple things back and forth. I think it was PME, and I forget who the other team. What is that? Oh, maybe Weird World come out, and they basically 4-on-4 schmaz, sets up a match. Scott Hall does nothing. Like, we kind of like, bump into each other in the corner, and then we get out of the ring so he doesn't have to do anything, and then they have a match. And the whole time backstage, Parker, unbeknownst to anyone, is angling.
He pitches his own.
His own angle for him to do something, and Scott Hall's like all about it. He's like, "Oh yeah," he goes, "I'm going to work with this kid over here." I'm like, "No, that's not how we're doing it." I go, "He's kind of gone off on his own on that." I go, "I'm the guy that's in charge of this group, so it's going to be me and you."
He
He's
went
like,
off.
"Okay."
So he didn't even go off on his own in the back. During the meet and greet, Parker, who had obviously been drinking, went to Scott Hall's table and like pitches him. He had brought all these toothpicks with him, and he pitches this thing where he's gonna throw toothpicks at Scott Hall, and like he gives him this elaborate thing, and Scott Hall's like, "Well, yeah, okay."
Scott Hall's all about it.
So then when we tell him the Duke thing, Party Parker had already pitched him on this other whole thing, so he's like, "Well, no, this kid already told. We have this whole toothpick spot worked out."
He's like, "That's not the guy I'm working with. I'm working with this guy." And we're like, "No."
He's like, "I want to work with the young kid, the young big kid." And so like he was a little disappointed.
I was like, "Parker, you son of a bitch."
Yeah, he totally went in the business for himself and was just like,
Yeah.
He bought all these toothpicks. He had all this shit with him. Didn't tell me he was pitching it. Didn't tell anybody. Just went directly to Scott Hall and pitched it at his table.
And I credit where it's due. He convinced Scott Hall to do it. I mean, Scott Hall said yes. So, but I don't know about that. But so he was another one. Cowboy Bob Orton.
We got him to actually wrestle.
Was one. Yeah, we got him to
Talked
wrestle.
him into wrestling that day.
We had me, Manson Jock against Swoggle PB and Cowboy Bob.
Swoggle hitting the cutter in front of him too in the middle of that match was top tier shit.
Cowboy Bob in the back just getting ready was hilarious.
It was an RKO. It wasn't a cutter.
Yeah, he's just putting his trunks on. You could tell he's like, "Oh, what the fuck am I doing?" But he was cool. He didn't do much, but he was fun. You know, that was an interesting because that was the day we had the convention or whatever.
Who was kind of like the liaison to get him like comfortable for that one? Did Swoggle kind of help with that, or like you said,
Was
Fonzie,
it you or was I don't remember.
Or was he just kind of willing to play ball and just kind of?
I think he was, and it was just like. Like all you got to do is kind of stand there. He got the hot tag, and
Swoggle definitely helped for sure.
Yeah, he bumped a couple of us, and that was it. He didn't do really hardly anything. I mean, of all the people that were there, it was great for him. I mean, if we could have got Uncle Fred to do it, the Shockmaster, that would have been cool. Booker had his stopwatch, so he wasn't doing anything.
He wasn't doing nothing. Yeah.
I forget who else was there. Oh, Joel, he was on the show.
Yeah, he did something. Joel Gertner.
Kelly, man,
she didn't do nothing on the show.
That was a rough ride.
Oh yeah, you drove Kelly.
I drove her from her hotel up here down to Akron. She did not want to have a conversation with me, man. I'll tell you that.
Oh man,
I was just like, got in the car, and it was like right after the women's only pay-per-view, Evolution or whatever it's called. Yeah. So I figured, okay, that's a good starting point. Talked to her about that for maybe 5 minutes, maybe. Sat in silence for about 20 minutes. Then she called her mom, and then called the airline to book her flight for her mom somewhere. And then we were at the place, and I never talked to her again.
Me either.
Yeah,
I think she went to sushi with Eric Taylor or something, though.
She might have. Can you blame her? Eric Taylor's an attractive man, and sushi to boot.
Derek, who are some of the people you've been in there with some random ones?
Joe Gertner, the same thing, the piggyback off of what Duke was saying from the same night. Joe Gertner was the Weird World and PME's special ring announcer against me and the production. So Joel was pretty cool. He gave me some good
I
feedback.
just remember him coming up to me and going, "I haven't eaten all day," and I said, "Well, why not?" Like, what? I didn't know. Well,
Are you in charge of that?
yeah, I don't know. I didn't know I was supposed to feed you too. But
He was a character. He asked me like all my backstory of my wrestling character, and I told him like I'm a movie director. So then he did his whole shtick, and then afterwards he gifted me his neck brace.
oh, really?
Yeah, he gave me his neck brace, and then he wrote this giant like Joel Gertner intro on a 8x10 for me.
That's pretty cool.
To recite it, I mean, it's classic Joel Gertner. He goes, "You are the worst director." Then, or he was like, it says something like, "You are a terrible director, but your mother cannot get me any more erector."
Oh my god.
Joel Gertner. So it hangs pretty prominently in my office,
Right next to the picture of your mom.
right next to my mother.
God.
Yeah. Up here it is. We're watching Royal Rumble '97, and
The luchadors are eliminated.
they just eliminated themselves. Classic.
What other guy? What guys have you gotten in there and entangled with? The franchise you get in there?
Shane Douglas, yeah. So my dad loves Shane Douglas, his favorite wrestler of all time. I have a picture with him when I was a child. My dad took me to Hardcore Homecoming, and my dad still has it in his wallet. He carries it around.
They gave out about fucking 700 comps for Hardcore Homecoming.
Yeah, for sure. We were. I
Biggins
think-
showed up at my house. He had a fucking. That's one of the first times I ever hung out with Biggins. Was he got a bunch of fucking Hardcore Homecoming comps, and he brought them over to my house.
we were sitting like ringside, and then I met Shane Douglas, and my dad like took a disposable camera picture of us, so he carries it still in his wallet to this day.
That's pretty cool.
And we used to work at like the same hospital together.
You and Shane Douglas?
Me and my dad, and my dad would still like show people this picture of me being 8 years old to like nurses in the hospital, like, "Hey, you know my son? This is my son." But
Franchise.
but clearly I'm a grown ass man. But yeah, so my dad was real pumped to see that. Shane Douglas was cool. I was very nervous getting in there with him because right before we hit the ring, his lace on his wrestling boot broke, and he had a classic meltdown backstage, and he was screaming and swearing, and then he was just complaining about how they don't make them like they used to, and how the shoelaces.
Probably talking about you as a wrestler.
I know. Me and Ziggy. But then he's talking about these laces, going crazy, and I just keep looking at the Duke, and I was like, "All right, here we go." And then we go out there, and we just have this match. It was pretty cool. That was a good one.
Wasn't your dad there too?
Yeah, my dad was there. He was like real pumped. He was happy to see me wrestle, but I think he was even more happier to meet Shane Douglas. I think that was like probably the highlight. Not even to watch me wrestle, just to meet Shane Douglas.
Yeah, when I worked him, I don't.
You wrestled Shane Douglas?
Yeah, me and Eric against Wes and Shane Douglas. A couple years ago.
For somebody canceled or something. He wrestled and just did.
I was gonna say he. I don't know. Was he like a last minute call or something?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he even had gear on. And
He didn't wrestle in gear, but
No.
like he definitely knew he was wrestling. But I think he wanted it to be like, oh,
Well, it was a street fight,
I'm coming from the tables.
but he did. He came from the back, and it was just like.
He wrestled in like North Carolina blue basketball shorts.
He was so like disinterested in, not that he wasn't into the match, but he was just like, it's a street fight, whatever. He's like, no thumbtacks. He had rules of what not to do, but other than that, but I will say that he basically wanted me to beat the shit out of him the whole time we were out there. Like I was giving him stuff and he just didn't want it. He was just like, he's like, no, hit me. So I was like, all right, man, whatever. And then, we made sure we got his finish in and that was it. But yeah.
Shane Douglas is like one of the, low key, like one of the fucking coolest locker room guys that we've ever had. He just sits and just fucking tells fucking stories. And, he just like loves just sitting in the back and fucking, talking shop. I wish that we could probably book him a little bit more, but I know you can, but like you can and you can't. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to go to that well too many times, I suppose, right? But who else you been in there with, Derek?
Shane Douglas was one. Max Caster was cool.
Oh, what about Tracy Smothers?
Oh yes, Tracy was great. So that was a big, like personally, like it was something huge for me. But I was real nervous with Tracy.
I think that was Tracy's last AIW match.
Yeah, Tracy and Guido. It was their last tag team match in AIW. I was real nervous about it because obviously I grew up watching Tracy, and I know he's like a staple on any independent wrestling show.
Dude, like, not to cut you off, but I've been doing this Cleveland All Pro project, and like, there's fucking tapes from Tracy wrestling in Cleveland in like 1997 Cleveland All Pro. Like, that's just crazy.
Well, in like my fourth maybe wrestling match ever, it was less than 10. I had to wrestle Tracy for a belt, and it was open, like it was up in the air belt. It was vacant. And he had come from Pittsburgh that day with him and, oh God, I think one time maybe. And then a couple other guys all came from Pittsburgh to wrestle at the show at night. And I was scared to death because I knew Tracy was a shooter. And I was just like, I just do not want to make a mistake. And he had to put me over for a freaking championship. And he was super cool. He knocked the wind out of me once with his fucking
palm
strikes.
Yeah.
Straight hit me right in the fucking xiphoid process and just knocked all the wind out of me. But I calmed down because Tom Dunn fucked up. And so he was yelling at Tom Dunn the whole time I had him in like a chin lock. And I'm like, oh, good, he's going to kill Tom Dunn. I'm off the hook. And so then we just finished and got through it. And then I think he calmed down after the match, but I'm pretty sure he said something to Tom afterwards too. Because I was trying to cheat, and Tom was looking at me instead of him. And he's like, look at me, you dumb fuck. And it was classic Tracy.
Yeah, fucking. How was your Tracy experience, Derek?
Tracy was cool. I was real nervous, like I said. Prior to the match, he just started like calling this crazy match to me with all these crazy spots, and I'm standing there and like I'm low key freaking out about it.
How long had you been in at this point?
This is probably like 3 years into AIW, so
Okay.
maybe like not too long.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was at the brewery.
Yeah.
And like the art of calling a wrestling match in the ring is like really hard, and so like I'm like freaking out thinking about this because I know he's a shooter, like Duke just said. And so it was a tag match. So I look over, like Tracy also has this walking stick. He's just walking around with this stick, and he told me that he slipped in dog pee earlier in the day, and he hurt his right leg. And he goes, "Hey,
oh my God, I forgot about the hiccups." So, I think I'm trying to think of the time frame here. So I think that we maybe did Mania weekend the month before this.
Yeah.
And I remember being backstage at GCW or whatever, and there's a picture of me actually like talking to Tracy, and NWO Sting is in the shot. Yeah. And Tracy's telling me this elaborately. He's like, John, you ain't gonna believe it. I slipped in dog piss. And like, he's like, I can't eat. They want me to work, and I know I got to come in for you next month, but I slipped in this dog. I can't be doing too much, I slipped in this dog piss.
So he has this walking stick, and it's not even like it's not a crutch, it's not a cane, it's like a Lord of the Rings stick. Like I feel that like like
it was like a tree branch.
Yes.
It was literally like a tree branch that like blew off a tree in a storm.
Not for all for all my D&D friends out there that listen to this, it would be as if he broke it and all of the spells inside of it came out at once. Because as we all know, when a mage is about to die, they break their walking stick to let out all their spells.
That picture of you backstage too with the fake Sting and Tracy is like an all-timer wrestling photo.
When that picture happened with Thorne, I do believe Justin Credible was maybe like 5 to 10 feet away, because I remember as this was happening, like I was. MJF is also in the room next to where Thorne was talking. So like the amount of people that were in this vicinity of this picture is insane.
Because it was during the clusterfuck or whatever, right? When everyone's like all the names are in there. What are we looking for? Pen or paper?
Duke needs some paper so we can draw some names.
Yeah, so go on though about your Tracy slipping in dog
So
piss.
he calls all this crazy match, and he's telling me that he can't walk because he slipped in dog piss. And he goes, "Hey, we are going to predominantly work my right leg." And I go, "Tracy, in wrestling, you work the left side always." He goes, "Nah, we're gonna work the marks." And I go, "Okay, sure." And,
Also very much Tracy.
and then he tells me, he's like, "All right," so he plans this match, and he's like, "In the middle of this match, you're going to look at me and you're going to spit in my face and you're going to call me an old bastard."
Oh no.
And I go, in my head, I've heard from multiple people, like, never call Tracy Smothers old. So as we're going in the match, let's jump forward in the match. As I do it, I call him old and I spit at him. And before the spit even hits him, he slaps me so hard in the face. And then he throws me in the buckles and he gives me that Tracy combo. And I'm like, okay, this is rough. As soon as he hits that
backhand?
the backhand, he blasted me in the ear and he blew my eardrum out in the middle of the match. But I want to jump back to still planning. So we're calling this crazy stuff. Tracy then hobbles away because he has to go pee, which in reality, he just takes a few steps over and he just pees in a cup right next to me. So he's just peeing. And then Guido pulls me aside and Guido goes, "Don't remember any of this stuff. He's not going to do any of it in the ring." And I'm like freaking out even more because now I'm like, Tracy's telling me one thing, Guido's telling me another thing. And Guido goes, "Just listen to me, kid. We'll be fine."
Guido, who had been drinking all day.
All day. Yes.
All day.
And then I go, okay.
It's a day that ends in Y.
And now I'm like freaking out even more. And then like I'm walking around because, we talk, don't want to bother him. I look over at him. Tracy's peeing again, and Guido is sleeping
He fell
in a
asleep,
bench.
passed out.
Like sleeping like old man style, like
Nap for Guido.
like head bent over the bench that he's sleeping in. And I'm just thinking like, oh man, here we go. So then the match happens, and Tracy does some of his classic Tracy stuff, which offends some people. And as he's doubling down on it, me and Thorne make eye contact, and Thorne just starts waving his hands no. And I just go over and I punch Tracy in the head, which did not do anything because then he just started punching me in the head.
Oh my God.
And then Danhausen pops up on the apron, and then Danhausen gives me a kiss on my forehead, and it just intensifies everything even more. And it was great. And then there was like a dive that Tracy's daughter, like she's like, "I'm going to do this dive to you guys. Just catch me. It'll be like a dive through the ropes." So I'm stepped out to catch a dive. And she comes running, and she does a drop kick through the ropes, which is not what she said. And she just splats on the ground.
Oh my God.
And then Staying Alive by the Bee Gees hits, and then they just start dancing.
Oh boy.
I always love Tracy because every time after the first time, is that Terry Funk?
Yes.
Oh, I owe you one, Terry, in the afterlife.
This is an audio podcast. They can't see what we're watching.
What's that?
They can't see what we're watching.
We told them we were watching Old Royal Rumbles. I always liked Tracy because after the first time I worked him, every time he saw me after that, he called me Little Vader, and I thought that was cool.
Little Vader.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some of the other.
I mean, we had Wrestle Rager is always a good one. We had Sandman, who was cool to work with that day.
That day.
Well, because he was sober. He didn't want to do anything with beer. And I remember he spit the beer in my face, and I was like, "Well, just drink it, or put it in your mouth, but don't swallow it." And sure enough, he did it. And he caned me a couple times, and that was the great Grandma Sing video of him
Drinking the beer?
chugging that beer, and but he was cool. Raven was weird as hell, but he was cool.
Did you wrestle Raven?
Yeah, we did a 6-man.
You wrestled him?
Yeah, he gave me the fucking DDT
I don't
into the
remember-
chair.
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, it was me and the boys against Weird World and Raven. Raven was doing commentary, and then got in the ring and gave me the fucking drop down on the chair.
Raven's another. Yeah, Wrestler is a 4. Quote the Raven, nevermore.
Oh, did we call it that?
Yeah.
Raven killed me when he was doing commentary because he was starting making fun of Mikey Montgomery's tights because they were baggy. And he goes, "I've never seen baggy spandex on a human being before."
And then he goes, and then Worldwide gave all of us choke slams, and he's like, "Why did the big guy get up the highest for that choke slam?" He's like, "What's wrong with you two?"
Yeah, Raven's another guy that's like, you just like love having him around. Like you wish you could have him around a little more. Like, well, he's not here, but somebody has to be Sam Holloway's proxy and tell that Raven story.
I was just gonna say. So Sam is. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Thorne, because I do believe I know it. But Sam was driving Raven around, and Raven gets into his car, and he goes, "Hey, I'm hungry, kid. Can you take me to Taco Bell?" So they go to Taco Bell, and Raven orders a whole bunch of food. And as they pull up to the window, Raven goes, "I can't get into my wallet because my hip's bad. I can't get my money out." And Sam pays
His
for
knee
it.
or something.
Yeah, something.
He's
So
like,
then-
I can't reach my wallet.
So Sam then, pays for Raven's meal, and now he gets his food. They drive to the hotel, and Raven then gets out of the car.
He says in the line, he says, "I'll get you at the hotel."
Yeah, all right, so he does tell Sam that you get him at the hotel. And so Sam thinks, I'm going to get reimbursed in, 5 minutes when we get back to the hotel. So Raven then gets out of the car, and he looks at Sam and goes, "Hey."
He looks at Sam, and then he reaches like he's getting his wallet out, and then he says, "Thanks for the ride, kid." It leaves. And this is the show was in Youngstown, and Raven was staying in Cleveland, and Sam then drives all the way back to Youngstown because Raven left while the show was still going on. So Sam, they leave after intermission, and then Sam drives all the way back. So this is a 2-hour round trip. So Sam has an hour to stew about this whole thing, and he doesn't even really know who Raven is anyway. So he's like, this fucking guy that I'm driving around stiffed me on $27. Well, also, he stopped at a gas station to get ice cream, and Sam also had to pay for that
Yes.
for some reason.
Yes.
Sam also had to pay for his ice cream for some reason.
But there's a happy
But there's
a happy ending to
So
the story.
Sam Holloway comes back to the West Side Bowl,
He's furious.
and he is furious. He is just motherfucking Raven to no end. And I go, Sam, this is the best. This is such a great story. What did it cost you? $20? You can tell this story forever. Raven fucking fucked you over on some fucking Taco Bell money.
But he just keeps saying, he keeps going, "Fuck that guy."
Yeah.
Not even
He's
Raven, fuck that guy.
yeah. So he's all mad. And then the next day, Wes Barkley is driving Raven to the airport, and he picks him up, and he drops him off at the airport, and then he gives Wes a 50 or something. He goes, I forgot to give that kid his money back for the Taco Bell. Make sure you give it to him. So now Sam feels like a real piece of shit, which is probably all by design by Raven.
It was.
Raven psychologically fucking Sam Holloway to where he knew that he was going to hate him, and then he paid him back even more money than he owed him. So now Sam is going to feel like the piece of shit.
As he should.
I think that was by design. Raven's design was to
Raven's
make-
just very. Ask him. He's a very smart man. He'll tell you.
I know he's like what is he Mensa? He's like Mensa or something.
It doesn't take that much, but yeah. All you gotta do is pass the test.
Well, he passed the test. That's all I know.
He brought his own Roku. Remember that, Thorne?
Yeah, he travels with his own Roku box.
Was there a TV at the West Side Bowl he could use, or no?
He was very happy because the hotel I had him staying at
Oh, the hotel.
had TVs with USB ports in it.
Oh, thank God.
He's like, you just got your own shit on your own Roku. So I was like, well,
It must not have been America's best value then.
but you could log into your shit. He's like, I don't want to fuck with that. I just bring it with me.
What was he telling us that he watched?
He was watching Taiwanese kickboxing and betting on it. He was betting on some crazy underground fighting.
Wait, you can bet on that? Is it on my MGM app? Because I might get in on that.
No, I think it's only on his Roku that
Roku.
he packs with him. And then he'd be like, he'd ask me what do you watch Bellator? I'm like, no, not really. And then be like, oh. And then be like, check this out. I'm betting on this fight in Taiwan right now. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with Bellator at all.
I think he was online gambling too, playing poker as well.
Yeah, he was like, I didn't really sleep last night. I was playing poker all night. Yeah, he's just a wild man. He's a wild card. Raven is a wild
I
card.
love him. He had those boots on. Classic.
He wears those moon boots everywhere now.
Because his reasoning is,
Oh, you got an answer? I would never have
yes,
asked.
I asked him, I go, Raven, what's up with these boots, dude? And he's like, you had kid? Just refers to me as kid. Kid, you got to look like a superstar when you walk through an airport. You see when I'm walking. Yeah. He's like, you see when I'm walking through the airport with these boots, people look at me and they go, man, that guy is a superstar. Look at those boots.
They go, why the fuck is this guy wearing these boots?
Yeah, because he wears them in like the dead of summer. It was like June.
They're fur boots. And he had his fit. His fit was top tier. It was fur boots, like a Hawaiian button-up shirt, and these giant girl glasses, like sunglasses, like giant glasses.
Yeah, he wears like grandma glasses. Yeah, Raven is. We should bring Raven back. We haven't had Raven in Akron. Maybe we should bring Raven to Akron.
Please. I love that. Sam, that's actually close to Sam, but Sam has to drive Raven all around.
That'd be so funny. What about who else? Paul London. What was your first Paul London experience like?
Paul London, I love him. He's one of my guys. I talk to him almost every day. Paul, you booked us in that scramble match. It was me. Wes Barkley, Paul London, Joey Janela. Wild match. Before, Joey's a wild card. But Joey comes up to me and he goes, we're going to get Paul to do some stuff. And I'm like, all right. So then I was like stressed. So I talked to you, Thorne. I'm like, how do we handle this? And you go, just let Joey talk. He'll work his magic.
Yeah, you just got to let Joey do his thing. Like that's like Joey just like I don't know if I would call it a magic touch, but like it's just like Joey just says, no, we're doing this. And like they listen to him.
No, that's what it was. Because at first, like Joey first pitched some stuff to him. And he's like, Paul at the time was
I remember when we booked Scott Norton against Joey Janela, which Scott Norton was like, who the fuck is this kid? He was like, what the fuck? He thinks he's coming in, he's going to be wrestling fucking
Giant Baba?
Yeah, he thinks he's like, looks at Joey, who the fuck is this kid? And then like, Janela called all this shit where he threw him through tables and stuff. And then he goes, John, Joey can go, brother. Joey can go. I'll never forget that. Joey can go, brother. Joey can go.
I love Scott Norton.
He's a big fan of corned beef hash, Scott Norton.
I love that.
Yeah, so Scott Norton, that's why Joey Janela is thrown into the mix, because I knew if he was going to get Paul London going.
So Paul was like very nervous before the match because he hasn't wrestled in a while, and I remember like you were looking at his cage match, and he like didn't wrestle for a few months before.
Doing acting, he was in that. Was it my
the child
my
snatcher,
my babysitter, the kidnapper, or
the
something?
baby snatcher? That's what it was called. They had to rename it because certain markets you can't have a movie called
He told
Baby
me
Snatcher.
it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime because he sent it to me the other day because I brought it up to him and he said they had a title change because it's on Amazon Prime right now. What was it called? It was called like My Babysitter, the Child Murderer or something. Now it's on Amazon Prime. It's called Maternal Sin.
Yeah, that's it.
Nearly the same.
Same.
I'd watch a movie called My Babysitter, the Murderer.
Yeah, something like that. But go on.
So we're in the back, and Joey pitches these wild things to Paul. And at first, Paul's like, "No, we're not doing it." And then the show starts, and then we start calling it. And then it goes from Joey just pitching it to Joey telling Paul he's going to do this stuff, and then Paul just immediately agrees to it, like a magic touch. And so
Joey can go, brother.
So then we're like out there, and then like we're calling all this stuff, and like Paul was like already talking to me throughout the day. So he came in the night before for a seminar, and I hung out with him all night. And so I hook and this is the match was happening. I hook him for a German suplex, and I just give him like a really really nice German suplex. But Paul London jumps as high as he can, and then he lands on his head. And as he's like rolling to his feet, he looks at me, and in my head I'm freaking out that I just killed Paul London, WWE legend. He looks at me and he winks his eye and he falls down, and I'm like, this guy
is nuts.
And then we're fighting in the crowd. And then
is that the picture that goes around from the German? That
yeah.
I forget who took that.
Pollyanna did.
Okay, yeah, Jake, because that's a great photo. I'm sure people know what we're talking about because
everyone says it. But he as he was looking at me, he gave me a little wink, and I'm like, all right, Paul London is next level. Then we start brawling around in the crowd, and it's just going crazy. We're just going crazy. Joey's hitting me with walkers. I fucking jam a hot dog in Joey's mouth. Paul London then takes me, and he puts me in this sleeper hold on the outside, and he's choking me out, and then he starts, singing a little lullaby to me in my ear as he has me in a sleeper. And then
that's how you make sure the move works. You gotta
and then he covered my eyes, so he has me in the sleeper hold, and then he puts his hand over my eyes, and he goes, "Time to go to sleep." And then he lays me down, and it was fans bring the weapons, some match on the card or something. So some fan brought a pillow. And there was just a pillow. So then he put my head on the pillow in the crowd. He put me to sleep. And then Joey goes over and starts messing Paul London up. And I'm like on the cell. And all of a sudden I see Paul London with this bag of garbage. And he pulls it out. And he smokes me with this bag of garbage so hard. And then he smokes Joey. Shoot garbage. This isn't gimmick garbage. And he hits Joey with it.
Glass bottles in it.
And then
because that was the first time. Because that's almost kind of became a spot that he's done now at other indies. And AIW, when he hit you with that, was a real shoot garbage.
Yes.
Like that, just came out of the trash.
Yes, and as I was laying there, he picks up the bag and he starts whipping it around his head, and the audible shriek of the crowd as the water.
People were running.
There is water exploding out of this. So it's water, beer, soda, remnants of Chipotle from the students getting it earlier in the day, just flying all around. And then match ends. Match ends.
You would have thought the boogeyman was throwing shoot worms at the crowd with how they reacted.
For sure. And the match ends, and we go in the back, and Paul London comes up to us, and he goes, "Guys, you reignited my love of wrestling." He gives me and Wes Barkley this big hug, and he goes, "I love you too. You guys made me love wrestling again." Oh, and then he starts telling us these crazy WWE road stories. If you ever listen to a Paul London shoot, you've heard them, but hearing them straight from him is next level. But
he's such a good storyteller. Like when he it's I could listen to him forever. It's great.
I love him. But we go out, and then that's another story for another day. But I love Paul London.
Yeah, Paul. We're gonna probably work Paul in a couple times a year until he signs that has that big Hollywood break.
More Amazon Prime movies.
What got to get that sequel. That's what he needs. He needs that sequel money. Babysitter Killer 2.
Dude, it was like
more Babysittier or whatever. I don't know.
Whatever the original name was so fucking funny, and
it's way better than Maternal Sin or whatever the fuck that was called.
I'm pretty sure it's something Baby Snatcher.
It's like My Babysitter, the baby kidnapper killer or something. It's like
I don't think it's that, because that title's terrible because it doesn't flow.
I don't know. Somebody's got to look it up. But I had to ask him about it immediately. I was like, "Tell me about this movie you've been working on."
Yeah, I mean, it's about this babysitter who kills a baby.
What about? Did you get any randoms in like J-Lits or anything like that? I mean, I have no notes. We're very unprepared.
I mean, we did Chavo this year. I got to work with Chavo. Chavo was cool. We were calling everything, and of course, I'm trying to get
Chavo Guerrero made me drink tequila at the after party. But
I was like, Chavo Guerrero is a fucking partier.
I was like, he can't party. I was like, I can't not drink a shot of tequila with Chavo.
I think I did too, and I was just like,
I was like, I hate doing shots. I was like, but I guess you got to do it with Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, tequila is like a liquor that I will not drink.
I don't
care
like
if it's
it
free,
either.
whatever.
Yeah.
There was not a chance in hell I was going to be like, no tequila
no,
for me,
thank
Chavo.
you, member of the greatest wrestling family of all time, or one of them. No, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
But he was cool because we were calling stuff, and he just goes, they were like, "Oh, yeah, then you do this." And he looks at me, he goes, "Are you a worker?" I said, "Well, I'm not as active as I used to be, but yeah, I'm a worker, Chavo. Like, I'll get you what you need. Don't worry about it." But then I found out we're the same age, which is, I was just like, ooh, because he's flying all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm like, he said something, and I said, "Well, I'm 52 also, Chavo, so, I don't know." But yeah. But he was cool.
There was another one, before we wrap it up, we're getting pretty close to the start of the Rumble here, but Chase, you got to work Carlito at the Youngstown show. That was pretty cool for you, I know, right?
It was fucking incredible, and IMDb is saying it was my best friend, the Baby Snatcher, 2023. So
My best friend, the baby
my
snatch?
best friend, the Baby Snatcher.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's not terrible. There's no bad
it's-
words in there.
Yeah.
Or no murder or anything.
It is a fascinating synopsis, but Carlito was absolutely insane. So to rewind a little bit, I'm landscaping in the middle of the day. It's like 1 p.m. and I'm waiting for my guy to come back with a truckload of mulch or something. And Thorne randomly sends me a picture of Carlito, and I just instantly was like, no fucking way. Like, this is happening. Like, we're going to bring him in. That's awesome. And then when he said that we're doing it for Youngstown, excitement was just through the roof at that point. Because I was watching Carlito in 2005 when I was 10 years old and when I first found wrestling. So to be able to like share the ring with him was sweet. To share a Red Bull with him was even better. And then when we toasted apples at the very end, like Stone Cold and the beers, was the coolest fucking thing in the world to me. And then I got to work with Paul London the next week in a tag team match too, which is getting paid in dreams, brother.
Carlito
so
was
fucking sweet.
Was he signed right before that or right after that? Right
Like,
before that,
like
right?
the week of, there was news that he was going back to the WWE, and I was like, man, I maybe
How
want
was
to.
he with doing things? Like,
So chill,
Yeah.
from start to finish. He was real open to ideas. Lewis Linden was the one who pretty much like chatted him up like the most in like certain pitch and things, and Carlito was like real chill. Everything that he like called and wanted to do was like just straight out of the 2005 playbook. Didn't need to do a whole lot either, and then everything that he did worked though. And plus we brought around for quite a while before we even got back into the ring. Worked the rest of the heat into the comeback, and then it was like 1, 2, 3 after that. Super impressed that I was able to pull off the shooter without smashing my head on the disco ball that was right above that corner. So to get his approval and thumbs up was, man, so fucking cool.
I'm very sad the original promo you and Paul London cut
Yeah.
prior to the tag match.
Yeah.
That promo was so good. It was so long, but
6
so
minutes of chaos.
good. The Cosmic Cactus or whatever he's called himself now.
if you've never witnessed Paul London, like you've all seen Paul London promos, if you've never witnessed one being shot, you're missing out, man. I'm telling you. You are missing out.
Because Thorne asked Duke and I to, help oversee some of the promos. And we were just standing there listening to this go on and on.
He's looking at himself in the mirror, doing not so much self-affirmations, but like questioning his manhood and questioning like what
Just a full-on conversation with himself.
What are you doing, man? It was so weird.
Questioning his former tag team partners.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. And it was freaking wild. It was wild.
And then the audio got like something jacked up on
Yeah.
it. So like when the show goes on at 7:30, it's 7:20 at this point, and I realized that I have no audio for the 6-minute promo that we just cut. So I went and found him again. I was like, hey, we got to do this real quick, like one more time, and we can't do 6 minutes, so it's got to be less. And then turned out to be like 4 minutes. So it was still really, really long.
The
but-
original one, though, for the people that was there, was me, you, Paul.
Who else was in the room?
Caleb was filming.
Yeah,
and
he
Duke.
shot it.
I think it was just us there, and it was
Okay.
top tier. So I definitely
Insane moment.
I love that moment.
Like I sit back and like certain things like that, or being able to team with Carlito, or we talked about Ricky the Dragon earlier, and he like commented on the match that I was in March in Akron for that show, and just like the fact that he approved it, like some of the stuff that happens, man, I just sit back and go like, I'm just some fucking kid from Youngstown. Like the fact that, yeah, it's so crazy and so surreal that a lot of the stuff
I
has
think
ever
we're
happened.
lucky because
So wild.
I mean, we're batting probably 950 when it comes to bringing people in that are like super cool and don't really have chips on their shoulders and will do, will help us out if it's, hey, can you do a promo? Hey, can you do something? Hey, can you? And they're just like, yeah, it's cool. Hey, can you go out there after your meet and greet or whatever? Everybody's been, super cool with the exception of only one person I can think of that doesn't.
Who can you think of?
It kills me that I have to say it every fucking time, but Vader.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love that guy so much.
Applebee's Vader.
I have, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have a moveset. And it's just like, and he was such a dick. And it kills me that I have to say that out loud. But he's the only one I can think
The only
of.
other he ended up being like awesome, but when Tommy Rogers was like, I ain't do no jobs, I ain't starting tomorrow. I ain't starting tomorrow. Tommy Rich.
He busted out that gear. I've never seen him in gear like that. He had like red kick pads on.
Tommy Rich?
Yeah.
I ain't do no jobs, John. I ain't starting tomorrow.
One person I want to bring up though about this, and it's maybe one of my favorites. Thorne, you made me have duty of liaison and Masato Tanaka around.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so crazy to me. But Masato doesn't speak English. So Thorne sort of just had me buddy him around all weekend. So he came in, he went to the school. He's just a happy, old man. And Masato loves sheets. Well, he kept saying to me, Wawa. And I go, we don't have Wawa. And then he would go, Wawa, louder. And I'm like, we do not have Wawa. And then so it would be like a dude, where's my car situation.
ECW, man. They had Wawas.
He just says it louder
Yes.
like you didn't hear.
Yes.
Do you not know when you can't speak the language, that's what you do? Like when you're in Mexico and you go, uno biro, and you just put an O on everything and say it loud, that's what you're supposed to do.
So we go to Sheets every day. So he was with us for like 4 days. So every single day we'd go to Sheets. But then like when we'd stand up to, the touchscreen to order, like I thought
read it.
he can't read. So he's just like looking at me. So then I have to like go, do you want sandwich? And he would nod yes. So then we'd have this thing every single day. So I'd click his sandwich. And then I'd go, what do you want? And he goes, what you like. And I go, I don't like vegetables. And then every day he would point to lettuce and go, no. And I go, no. And then he'd
go on every vegetable.
Every selection, like lettuce, tomato, onion, grilled onions, pico de gallo.
In 2 months, we're going to get a bulletin. Breaking news, Masato Tanaka dead of a heart attack because he wouldn't eat vegetables.
No, he was asking
He was
Derek.
asking me if I
he was
like
asking
every
Derek
day.
what vegetables he will eat, and he
Yeah.
went through the whole screen.
Every day.
I thought he was asking
No.
should I get lettuce? You're like, no.
He would no. He would get like a breakfast sandwich, and he just wanted a breakfast sandwich, and then he would load it up with everything. Like he would get a bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich, but then he would add steak to it and an extra egg, and then he would want. But no, listen. He would want lettuce, tomato, onion, grilled onions, pico de gallo, oil, vinegar, salsa, everything. Salsa.
Have you seen the food in Japan? He's probably freaking out because he has all these choices. You mean I can eat something besides fish or rice?
Didn't he traffic protein bars back with him?
Yes. So every time we went to Sheets, he would get Fit Crunches, and he was like, "Which one's good?"
Shout out to my guy Robert Irvine.
Yes, and so he would just get a Fit Crunch. I bought him a Fit Crunch bar because I had one in my car when I got him from the airport.
He gave me some personally.
Robert Orton.
Yeah.
We got to hurry up. We got to draw numbers.
We'll be fine. We're talking about Masato Tanaka here.
So before the one story that I remember is fucking he goes, I want cheesesteak.
Yes.
Cheesesteak. And so we go, okay. And I go, someone take him to get a cheesesteak. And he goes, I just walk. And it was like by the temple, and like he was gonna walk to like such a bad area.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was like a 2 mile.
Closed at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
But it was like a 2 mile walk. He's like, I just walk. And Derek's like, no, bad neighborhood over there. He goes, ECW.
No, he goes, I go, no. I go, bad neighborhood. And he goes, no, good. And I go, bad. And he goes, Philadelphia, #1. And I go, what? And I go, no, bad area. And he goes, cheesesteak, good. And I go,
Philadelphia, #1.
and I go, what? I go, no. And he's like, cheesesteak, good. And then he pulls out his phone. And it's like Juicy B's cheesecake or cheesesteaks. And I'm like, dude, like, no, you are not
Like a
going.
gas station on like gas station cheesesteaks.
Do you think he was trying to tell you that like he's been around Philadelphia, like that's #1 crime, or like he can handle himself? Or?
I'm guessing he thought he was in Philadelphia. That's what I'm thinking. And I have it on good authority, being a wrestling fan, that it is, in fact, Iran that is #1, not Philadelphia.
He probably thought Tony Luke's was around the corner.
I was like, no. And then finally, day 2 came, and I'm like, can someone please take him to get a cheesesteak? And then, like, multiple people took him to get a cheesesteak. And then after the show, when I was driving, he's like, look. And he had 3 to 4 different places of cheesesteaks.
Yeah, I think Kaplan's got him a Mr. Hero. Somebody else got him one from somewhere else.
He was so...
Yeah, because I heard him say, he goes, Mr. Hero. He just kept saying,
Yes, he
Mr.
goes,
Hero.
yes.
Like, this is incredible.
Hero, #1.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. Mr. Hero is pretty good,
Oh yeah.
but it's not number one cheese.
No, number one Roman burger maybe, but not number one cheesesteak.
Right. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. That was kind of just the little first part. We'll try to do some more.
We'll
of these.
save the Jeff Jarrett stories for later.
Yeah. We'll try to maybe do another round 2 of this. But for everyone here at AIW, for John Thorne, for the Duke, for Derek Dillinger and Chase Oliver, I am Ronald Two Legs. Thanks so much, everybody.